Hey, Mark here. I had this idea for how I think the NX could function. I know there's been a lot of rumors about specs, and they got the new patent drawings and all this other crap with like the screen and the detachable controllers and stuff like that. And you know, I really do think that it's going to be like that. I mean, after all, it's supposed to be a hybrid, but I think it's going to be a little bit different. Like, basically, I think that what we're going to find is that the controllers will come off, and you're going to stick them together, and then you have a controller like that. I don't think they're going to be very big. They're not going to have. I don't think they're going to have too many buttons on it. It's going to be pretty simple, and in some cases that might be fine. But let me show you an example of kind of what I think. Okay, so right now what you're seeing is my idea for the handheld with detachable controller ports. We've seen these drawings go around already, and I thought, just seeing what that was just shows handheld, not hybrid. So to me, what a hybrid would be is the handheld device would have a connector on the bottom that essentially would allow you to connect it into a base station. And this is where it's going to get a little bit interesting. I think the bottom of the device will have a port kind of like the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo, where they have the cartridge door slot. So there'll be actually, instead of a cartridge slot on the bottom, it's going to be like kind of like an SD card type style connection on the bottom of this. And what that will happen then is it'll plug into the base station. This is kind of how I see it. You're going to have a cartridge style slot that your actual handheld unit will plug into. Now the side portions there for the controller, they pop off your handheld. Your handheld will then go into the cartridge style slot, and this then would pair with the extra CPU power and RAM and who knows what else Nintendo could pack in there. And then also in the front of the unit, you'd have either 4 USB ports, or what I actually kind of believe is 4 controller ports that utilize that same style that the Wiimote has, that now the NES Mini also has. They will still have wireless technology, and they'll probably even come with their wireless remote. However, I don't necessarily think that that'll only be the option. I do believe that they'll have some wired connections. A lot of great stuff out there that I think people would want to be able to use. This may not be backwards compatible with everything, but I guarantee you it'll be backwards compatible with a lot of the Wii and Wii U accessories. So as far as the CPU power goes, I actually believe, for the sake of cost, Nintendo will go with the Tegra X1. However, I believe that they're going to use 2 of them. And if you look at it this way, with the multi-processing and possibly, extra RAM and everything, this could be better than just going with a standalone Tegra X2. I don't know exactly the specs for the X2 exactly, but I'm willing to bet that if you had 2 X1s, it might actually be faster than the X2. The base station will allow the handheld unit to link together and act as one. So that's kind of my idea for the base station, is that it's going to be essentially a box that'll connect to your TV, and it'll give you extra horsepower. And the games will be written for it to know when you're connected to the base station and know when you're connected to just handheld alone. And I kind of think that it'll be able to happen seamlessly. Like, you could plug it in and it'll just know, and then you could just, pause your game or whatever, or you maybe not even have to pause your game, and just pull out the cartridge slash handheld unit, and it'll probably work fine. Kind of a plug and play idea. And then for the controller, here's kind of maybe my idea. I think it's going to be completely custom, as in the player you can buy parts or whatever you want to make it your own, but here's how I'm thinking the controller would act when you take it off the handheld unit. The controller, I honestly believe that it's going to have some kind of connections so that you can essentially design your own layout. Now, the way I have it here currently is you see the D-pad, the 2 analog sticks in the middle, and then you got your face buttons. And then on the back of the unit would be your shoulder buttons. And I believe that the button itself for the shoulders would actually be on the back of the controller itself, and they're going to be fairly large so that no matter the orientation you choose, it's going to work out just fine. It may even be like the entire half of that portion there. So then, like with this, you can kind of see where I have the handheld unit, and you can see the screen. That's kind of what I'm thinking it could be. Now, obviously, my drawings here are not great. These are just quick ideas that I had that I wanted to share with you guys, and this is just kind of my thoughts. I don't really know how to, really design it in a way that Nintendo would do it, but this is kind of like a wish list of things where you could plug in that handheld unit as a cartridge and then gain the extra horsepower from the base unit and play on your TV with all the extra horsepower. Because if you think about it, the screen on the handheld unit is not going to need that extra power. In all honesty, you could render a lot less because the resolution's not going to be as high. And with Nintendo, with their history of their handhelds, they've never used high resolution screens. I mean, the 3DS, even the new 3DS, the resolution is very small. I don't even think it might be 480p at best. And they've proven that you just don't need it. It's more of a want. But, millions and millions of people buy their handhelds, and no one seems to really care so much. However, having the, like twice the power, if you will, having your handheld and the base unit combined, you're going to get some pretty good processing power. And I really think that this is how they're going to do it as a hybrid. You're going to, well, I don't know how their base station's going to work or how it'll look like, but I guarantee you it's going to have some sort of like secondary CPU and probably a graphics chip of some kind that will work in tandem. And you're going to have extra RAM and, who knows what. I'm also willing to bet that, like previous systems in the past, mainly the N64, they're going to have an expansion pack that'll allow you to upgrade your RAM, or possibly maybe a GPU or something else down the line. I mean, I really believe this is going to be a very modular system that'll allow you to upgrade it over time, because the way our console generations are going currently with the PS Neo and the Xbox Scorpio and everything, Nintendo's going to want to be able to put something out that, in like 2-3 years, instead of buying a whole new system, they're just going to sell you a portion that'll allow you to boost its power. And I kind of think that'll work out really well. I think it did with the N64 back in the day, and I know from experience a lot of the games I had that utilized the pack, it really did help. I mean, a lot of times you'd get double the resolution, and it was just fantastic. So I kind of think that their NX is going to think a lot like a PC in a way, where you can just, like for instance, you possibly could just buy a new handheld version and plug it into your unit, and then maybe the CPU portion of the base station is modular. I mean, you never know. So basically, you know, to sum it all up, I kind of just, I really feel that it's going to be a modular system that you can pretty much customize to your liking. I think it may not have the power of the Neo or the Scorpio, but it'll I think it's going to have enough power to satisfy your gaming needs. And the one thing that everyone is forgetting is that this would potentially be a hybrid system. So you're looking at something that you're really going to be taking to go game on the go, and then you can play it in your living room also. I don't feel it's going to be just strictly in your living room or just strictly on the go. It's going to be a hybrid of both. So to say that you need 6 teraflops of power, I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. Nintendo is not going to give us that. We're lucky for them to give us anywhere close to even 2 teraflops. It's not going to happen. Historically, Nintendo's always essentially made the weaker system. I mean, you could say the GameCube was more powerful than the PlayStation 2, but the Xbox was more powerful than that by quite a bit. And then when the Wii came out, that was just an overclocked GameCube, essentially, with a new disc drive. And then the Wii U, you know, when they brought it out, it was most definitely more powerful than the PS3 and the Xbox 360, but not by much. And even then, you know, they give you 2 gigs of RAM with only 1 gig is available to developers. That's not really that good. So I basically, this is how I think the specs are going to end up. You're going to have, in the handheld unit, you'll have an X1. A lot of people are kind of like, but look, it's been out a while. The cost is much lower. So Nintendo doesn't have to charge an arm and a leg. And then I think the base unit, which quite honestly, it's possible that Nintendo will probably go with the X1 in the base and the X1 in the handheld unit, and they may even sell both separately, which might kind of be not a great idea, but I think it's possible because not everybody's going to want the living room portion, and you know, that's how it is. But I don't know. We'll see on that one, I guess. But either way, handheld, base unit, combined equals NX. That's my thought. The specs aren't necessarily the finalized deal, but I do believe it's kind of what I showed you. I don't know how they'll get it to connect or whatever, but it's going to work out. You'll see. Anyway, happy gaming. And if you'd like to check out my previous 3 videos, I have the links here for you. And if you don't mind hitting up that subscribe button, that would be pretty awesome. You can also check out my other social media links as well. Alrighty, again, happy gaming.